Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Today I'm here to review Penguin Episode 2. And second episodes are notoriously go down in the pacing and not as good as the premiere, pilot or launch because they need to suck you in with that first episode. So my big question was, as I went in to see Episode 2, will it be as good? Will it go to the predictable bait and switch? Very, very interesting question for me. And the pacing of the early stages of the second episode was a bit slow. We were alternating from Penguin scenes to Sophia Falcone scenes, which was interesting because they're both compelling characters and played by compelling actors. The performances by both are fantastic, but it started off slow. But as we went on with it throughout the episode, the pacing got faster and it built up and it built up and it built up, like any movie should do and any episode of TV has done. This really is a psychological story between Oz, the penguin, and Sophia Falcone. It's a battle of wits. If we jump to the ending when she kind of forms this union with the penguin and wants to take down the rest of the Falcone family, you don't know really if she's genuinely wants to do that or if she's decided to gain respect from these old men, as she puts them, by proving that Oz killed her brother. I think this is interesting because in the first episode, she was very determined and very sure that Oz killed her brother. Obviously, Oz has been so clever, the way he stitched the Maronis up for the murder. Now, the question really is, because we don't know, because you watch her body language, you watch what she says, she seems to have fallen for Oz's plan. And she's a lot less suspicious of him. But the early parts of the episode, she wasn't taking any shit from Oz. But it is fascinating, because the questions that I'm asking now, does she really believe that Oz had nothing to do with her brother's murder? And what's interesting is, what happens to Sophia throughout this season? Does she survive this season? Will she take over the Falcone family going into the Batman 2? And will Oz be her second in command? This is very interesting. I think that scenario is probably the scenario that's going to happen. The lesser scenario would be that Oz kills her by the end of this series. And then he rises to power. Also, some interesting name drops. We find out that the mayor, the governor of Gotham, is releasing inmates from Arkham. One of them is one nicknamed Hangman. Now, I don't know the comics so well to know of Hangman if he's a comic book character, but it looks like, considering that the mayor of Gotham, that was going for mayorship or governorship or whatever in the first movie, is releasing Arkham inmates, which is very interesting because it kind of confirms my prediction that this won't be a movie of just one villain. If you remember rightly, on my lives last year or maybe even before that, I said this will be a movie of many, many villains, and I think that kind of in a way confirms that as well. And they also mentioned the wording no man's land as well, because that's what it is. It's a comic book story as well. Gotham is flooded. They're all trapped within Gotham because of this flooding and because of what happened in the first movie. But this is a series about Penguin and Sophia. They are the stars of this show. One of my favourite scenes is when she meets her cousin, is it at the funeral? And you can tell that even though the cousin's saying, remember when we went and we got drunk with boys and we did this and that Sophia doesn't really like this woman. Then she discovers she has a daughter. Was Mia the name? And then something clicked, I'm not sure what. And basically she crouches down and she's very loving towards the kid, but she tells her to look after her daughter. It seemed like a threat to me. And I like that scene because you really get to see Sophia's teeth. This is a very intelligent woman. But the difference between her and Oz, she's been pampered and looked after by the family, but she's also had mental health issues. She's also a very deranged character, and she's also spent time in Arkham. Now, Oz grew up in the rural streets. He was raised by his mother, you know. So it's really, they're two different people from different backgrounds. You know, Oz has really had to earn everything he's got. And now he's trying to take the Falcones down and take over that family. But what he's doing is he's getting into bed with the Marones. You know, is it the Maronis or whatever you call them anyway? And I mean, his plan is risky. I mean, he nearly got murdered by the Maroney family in this episode as well. And it's only his quick thinking and his fortitude that got him out of that one. He had the plan for the Maronis to raid the drug stash in the van, but then the Falcones decided that Oz should go in the van with them, which then gets Oz in a lot of trouble, and he has to think on his feet again. You know, it's you know, and it goes a little bit wrong. So he makes up these plans. And then another scene that I really loved was with Vic, the young guy. I think his name's Vic, right? You know, I'm not very good with names, but he's burying, you know, a couple of the, you know, because he's burying the guy that the Falcones had prisoner to interrogate, right? And then the guy that they murdered, thinking that he's the one that killed Sophia's brother. Obviously, Oz has stitched him up. But he makes Vic lay in that open grave, in that open, shallow grave. He wants him to know that he can kill him at any time, because Vic is just an ordinary young kid, and he froze and he got things wrong that Oz wanted him to do. So he's really, I don't think he has the intention of killing Vic. I think he likes Vic. I think Vic's the closest thing he's going to have to having his own child, and he's trying to teach him tough love. And I think, well, that's a very tough thing to do, but I think that's what's going on there as well. So this series is just improving. We've only had 2 episodes, but what I said last week stands this week as well. We're so starved of good material when we see it. We're so surprised by this industry. There is a difference when you're getting a production by HBO and Matt Reeves and the people developing this show. It's different gravy. It's quality. This does not prove that DCU is going to be successful, because this has nothing to do with DCU. This is Matt Reeves. It doesn't prove anything. And, you know, James Gunn saying last week, oh yeah, we're only going to have quality with the DCU stamp on it. But thus far, we haven't seen what you're going to do. It'd be interesting to see Creature Commandos, which is a typical James Gunn project, and see if that's the same quality he's been talking about. But in terms of Penguin, and this is, look, this is what I also said last week. This is why I would rather, instead of a bottled connected universe, have different visionary storytellers like Matt Reeves, like Todd Phillips, different people doing their own versions of these DC characters that are unconnected in live action. You could have easily had James Gunn doing his Suicide Squad universe, Creature Commandos, and whatever else he wanted to do, Waller, etc., Peacemaker 2, etc., without him running DC Studios. Then you have Matt Reeves doing his Batman universe, then having Todd Phillips continue his Black Label universe, etc., etc., etc. You could have a Constantine 2. And you could just have different visions of these DC characters. And I said it from the beginning. When they formed DC Studios, this is what they should do. But instead, they've got James Gunn to do this bottled universe, and we'll see if it's going to be successful. Personally, I don't think it's the way to go. And Penguin proves again that what I'm saying is true. That you've got quality here. You've got proper actors. You've got proper writing. You've got proper directing. These are, so far we've had 2 episodes and they've been allowed to breathe. They start off slowly and they build up momentum, as I mentioned on the top of the video. So it's very, very interesting what's going on. Again, we're getting a lot of, we're getting another scene this week. We got another scene with Oz's mother. I think she's a very interesting character who's clearly losing her mind. She's got some kind of dementia, which is very sad. So I think we will see her slowly die. Also, what was interesting, that scene when Oz is trying to suck Sophia in again at the funeral by talking about the death of his brother or brothers or whatever it was, and talking about how his mother didn't handle it well. Then one day she got dressed, got up and went to work. And this is all to kind of suck her in. So it is interesting. He knows, and he knows that she's smart. He's not underestimating Sophia. And, you know, when he knew who was torturing that guy, he knew who grabbed that guy, because he knows she's the only one with any fortitude to do so. Because the other ones are like older, they're old school, but she's not. And because of what she's been through, she's very reactive as well. She's a take action person, and they're not. And they're trying to move her on to Italy. So they kind of persuaded her to go to Italy for a little while. Now, I'm not sure if if we're going to see her in Italy in episode 3, or she remains in Gotham. That's going to be a very interesting scenario as well. But for me, this is another kind of 8, 9.5 out of 10 episode. Very, very good. And it's building up to something special. But I am very intrigued and interested how this is going to end, because Matt Reeves has already said the ending of this series will lead in to the Batman 2. This series was supposed to be the opening act of the Batman 2, but they decided to make it into a series. And I'm glad in a way they have, and it's really working for them, and it's really working for Max, and it's working for everyone involved. Because all it takes to be successful in entertainment is give the audience great entertainment. People who watch Max pay for Max. They have every right to demand quality, just like every other streaming service. Or when I go to the cinema and I buy my ticket, I have the right to demand quality. I shouldn't be called a toxic fan because I demand quality. And this is what I said to the writer of episode 2 on Twitter. Well done. You did well. The subscribers of Max deserve quality, and they have every right to demand quality. And again, that's not toxic fandom. The customer is always right. It doesn't matter if you don't agree with what the customer's saying. It doesn't matter if the customer can be a bit rude, you know, off the cuff, or, you know, doesn't have any manners. The customer has every right to say to you, what you've made, simply, in my opinion, isn't good enough. You should have done this. You should have done more of this. Sometimes you could create great entertainment and some people are not happy with it. That doesn't matter in itself. But everyone has a right to their opinion. And that's the point. And my opinion of the Penguin thus far has been absolutely fantastic. And wait for it, what's her name? Here we are. I've got her name written down because as you know, I'm crap with names. So we've got Christina Milioti as Sophia Falcone, and obviously we've got Colin Farrell as the Penguin. As a double act, they're really, really good. Really, really good. She is so good. The way she's displaying, you know, she's portraying the pain, the insanity that she has, because she's not a clear-thinking character, but she's certainly a strong character. She's certainly an intelligent character. Just because you're mentally ill, just because you're a psycho, just because you're psychotic, just because you're a sociopath, it doesn't make you stupid. And she's certainly not a stupid woman. So they have created a very interesting character here. And as I said earlier, it will be interesting to see if she survives this series, and if she returns for the Batman 2, and if her and Oz are running the family together. As I've already said, that's how I see that running. But Matt Reeves is creating a great little franchise, a great little Batman franchise here, with the first Batman, with the sequel, with the Penguin, also rumours of a Mr. Freeze movie or series. Now, Gunn was asked about this. He goes, I didn't hear about that one, but there's a lot of rumours going around. He didn't deny it, though. He didn't deny it. But also, Mr. Freeze could be nothing to do with Matt Reeves' universe, and could be part of this Bane Deathstroke movie as well. I think there may be 5 or 6 villains in that movie as well. That remains to be seen. But yeah, the Penguin is a great example of what you do when you've got good people running things. People with the motivation to do something, to service Batman and his universe. Now, Penguin doesn't have Batman in it, but it's about the Batman's universe, about his world, the world that he polices, but it's underground. It's the underbelly. And we now know that the Penguin will be in the Batman 2, and he will feature very heavily in the Batman 2. And this is just about the Penguin's rise to power and they're doing it in a very interesting way. Now, I think if you look at a lot of the comics, this is probably the more faithful adaptation of the Penguin. You know, he wasn't attacked by a bunch of penguins. He wasn't raised by penguins. He's called the Penguin because of the way he walks, very similar to the Gotham TV series. Now, obviously, Danny DeVito's Penguin is very fantastical because Tim Burton is a fantastical fairy tale kind of, you know, haunting fairy tale kind of guy. Now, Screen Rant said that Colin Farrell's version of the Penguin is the best. I don't like this best label because I think you disrespect the other versions. I've never seen a bad version of the Penguin, whether it's Burgess Meredith in the Batman 60s series, amazing. Danny DeVito in the 92 movie Batman Returns, one of my favourite Batman movies. The guy in the Gotham series was also fantastic as well. You know, there's not been a bad version of the Penguin. So I hate this thing when something new comes out, or, you know, it's always the best thing ever. It is the best thing ever. But I hate that. There's no question that Farrell's and Matt Reeves' Penguin character is amazing. And he's probably on top of the tree, or near the top of the tree, in, you know, in adaptations of that character. But I don't think it's fair to, I think it's disrespectful on all the other actors that have been and gone to say he's the best. But no question, it's an amazing version. I'm floored by this version of the character. I think it's amazing. And what this show does, and what the first Batman film does, it shows you the beginnings of this character. He's not the Kingpin yet. He's not the person we know him to be. So it's a pre-Penguin story. This series is a pre-Penguin story. We're seeing him trying to get to where we know he's going to get. And it's always the journey that's more interesting than the ending. And what this episode does as well, it just shows you that this guy is a fucking survivor. That this guy is really, really smart. That this guy is really, really clever. And the way Reeves and the showrunner Lauren LaFranc has done in her development of this series has done that. They're not doing him dirty. They're not making him look like an idiot. What he is a street-level criminal trying to build himself and manipulate himself to the top. He certainly is a sociopath. He certainly is intelligent. He certainly is a manipulator. And you're seeing how smart he is. Now, in Sophia Capone, not Capone, I knew I was going to get it wrong. Capone, for Christ's sake. Sophia Falcone. It's clever how they come up with the name in the comics, though. Not Capone, Falcone. So you just put Fal and then, yeah, Cone, yeah. Anyway, but in Sophia Falcone, they've got someone who is his equal, maybe beyond his equal. She's very, very smart. And as I said on the top of the show, it's unclear if she really wants to, you know, team up with him to take down the family, or if she's trying to prove that he, in fact, is the one that killed her brother. Does she still believe that Oz, the Penguin, is the one that killed her brother? We don't know. And that's the interesting thing with characterizations. You never know what they're thinking. But good actors, great actors, like this one, kind of the way she looks at him, she doesn't completely trust him quite yet, but he's certainly trying to manipulate her. Now, what's interesting is, I can't see any scenario where she lets it go. If she finds out that Oz killed her brother, I can't see her saying, oh, well, never mind. You know, you've proved yourself. You've become like another brother to me. You're going to be my second in command in the new family. And I can't see her doing that. Once she can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Oz killed her brother, she's going to want revenge. But maybe not. Maybe that's not how this is going to work. Think about this. Is she really the type of woman who's just going to kill someone who killed her brother? Or is she someone who's going to murder his mother? Think about this very, very carefully. Why do you think they had Oz talking about his mother to her and his brothers? He loves his mother more than anything in the world. It's the only thing he cares about. She's the only thing that Oz cares about. What would be worse? To murder Oz for the murder of her brother, or to murder the mother? So I think by the end of the series, she murders the mother once she finds out that Oz killed her brother. But instead of just leaving him or hurting him, she decides that he becomes her second in command. Like he's trying to teach Vic lessons. This is going to be the ultimate lesson she's going to teach the Penguin. What do you think of my little theory? But anyway, that was my review of episode 2 of The Penguin. As you know, I barely watch any modern day TV and film. I hate them. I hate their mentality. I hate their extremism. And literally when I watch stuff, it's old stuff. But I will always watch and give a chance to DC firstly run TV shows and movies. Because I'm a DC fan. When a DC thing comes out, it's an event. It's exciting. And I want to give it a chance. But I am a guy who doesn't believe in modern entertainment anymore. So to see something like Penguin, or even the Batman, and I've said I love the Batman. Apart from the white racism, I really like the Batman. And the Penguin again has shown the talent of Matt Reeves and has proven again that bottled universes for DC aren't the way. Visionary storytellers doing their own things is the way DC should go going forward. I'm going to switch it off in a minute.